After seeing the first Knives Out, I wasn't really sure a sequel would work, and I'm pleasantly happy to let you guys know that this works. So, Glass Onion, a Knives Out story or a Knives Out mystery. They didn't really have the subtitle during the movie. It was just Glass Onion, but on all the posters and all the stuff, commercials, it's a Knives Out mystery. So you don't see that in the movie. So just so the marketing people let you know that this is a sequel to Knives Out. And it is mainly just a sequel just because Daniel Craig is back as Benoit Blanc, who is a great, like the world's greatest detective. And in this movie, he does it again. He's a great detective, and I think his acting in this is phenomenal. But first off, like what's interesting going into this is that this is a story that is all its own, and I really like that. And from the very beginning, you get a slightly different tone. This is a little more got a little more comedy to it. It's a little lighter. Like the color palette's totally different because of the setting, which is great. It does go a little out there. I'm like, this doesn't feel like the same grounded world that I kind of felt like we were in with the first movie, but that's fine because this is when you get to meet this cast of characters and these eccentric people, it makes sense why this is a little more out there, and it worked. It works for this movie, and that didn't bug me at all. Like, maybe for a little bit, I was like, wow, this is a new tone we're going to have to get adjusted to. And they do spend that opening part of the movie kind of getting you adjusted to this world, to these newer characters, reintroducing Benoit Blanc, and then getting this thing rolling. And I will admit, watching this the first time, story-wise, it didn't really kick off for a while. I'm just sitting there just like, okay, wow, all this stuff. I get it. We're getting set up. We're getting to know these characters. We're trying to get a sense of, who, like, you go into a murder mystery movie, and you as the viewer, are probably trying to think of who is, like, you're trying to be the detective yourself. You're trying to beat Benoit Blanc to the punch. And good luck, because this one's a little harder, even though it is kind of laid out in front of us, and that's all I'm going to say about that. It's the way the story is structured, which is very interesting. Because normally, I don't like it when a mystery film, especially, or any film, will get about halfway through the movie, and then you double back, and you do it all over again, but you fill in a lot of the blanks. Usually that doesn't work, but the few times it works, it can be done really effectively, and this is a movie that does that very effectively, because the first half, I was kind of like, wow, man, we're really kind of slogging along here. And then finally, when the stuff hits the fan, it gets interesting, and you're in it 100%. And then it kind of doubles back, and you're like, wait, what? And then, but it works. It works. Rian Johnson, the director of this film, the writer of this film, does a phenomenal job. And I've liked Rian Johnson. He's done a film I really like called Brick. And of course, he did The Last Knives Out. And then he's done a Star Wars movie that I think is okay, but a lot of people hate, and some people love. So whatever. But I think Rian Johnson is a great writer-director. He's got a great visual style. He's got a great narrative style, too. And for these Knives Out movies, they're awesome. They're a lot of fun, and they keep you on your toes. And I want to kind of talk about some of the actors. Like, obviously, Daniel Craig, like I mentioned up top, knocks it out of the park. Then you're going to have Edward Norton in this as this eccentric billionaire. He just chews up every scene he's in. It is so much fun. Then you got, like, Kathryn Hahn is in there as a bit player who's really good. You got Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, Madelyn Cline is like this streamer girlfriend. The movie star played by Kate Hudson. Dave Bautista's in there, who's great as like another influencer. And then you got Janelle Monae in there as this other highfalutin high society lady. And her performance especially was one that I was like baffled by for most of this movie, because I was like, well, these are some weird choices we're making. I didn't really dig her performance out of all of them for a while, but I'm going to say by the end of the movie, she slays. So if you're watching the movie and you're like, wow, why is she so wooden? Why does this feel so weird? It totally makes sense in the end, and they do a real good job with that. And I really love that aspect when there's a turn with her, and it's just like, okay, like this is interesting, this is fun, and that's what this movie is. It's fun, and it's a great theater experience, which brings me to the fact that this is only going to be in theaters for a week, which is crazy to me because this movie should be getting a full, typical theatrical run. It is that good. It is a sequel to a movie that was nominated for Academy Awards, and this is just going to get put onto Netflix on December 23rd, which is crazy to me. I get it, Netflix flipping the bill, but Netflix, what are you doing with these big movies? This is a $40 to $50 million budget for this film. You paid $400 to $500 million just for the rights to 2 sequels to Knives Out. So Rian Johnson just getting a bunch of money, and Daniel Craig getting a bunch of money to make these sequels, and then the budget only being $40 to $50 million. Like, how are you going to recoup a lot of that? Like, people aren't just going to subscribe just to watch Glass Onion. A lot of people are already subscribed to your service. So that's the crazy thing to me with these big movies that are coming out on streaming services, is recouping that budget back. It just doesn't make financial sense to me, like just putting it on a streaming service like that, because I don't know. I just feel like putting it in a theater, you're at least going to make most of, if not all of that money back for that type of budget. And for as good as this movie was, and a lot of people liked this movie, I think it would have no problem making that money back. And only being in the theater for a week, we'll see how the numbers look next week when they release the box office report for it, when it's all said and done. But I hope that's enough for Netflix to go, oh, well, if we would have just kept this in theaters for a few more weeks, this would have made a crap ton of money, and we would have been great. Because Netflix has been struggling financially. I don't know if you guys have seen the news. We're not going to really get into it here, but yeah, it's out there. Go look it up. But this movie, it deserves better than just a Netflix run. Nothing against Netflix. They put out some good stuff, mainly their shows. Their movies are very hit and miss, but this is something you got to see in a theater. So if you've only got a week to see it, as of right now, it's Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. It's Thanksgiving Day. It's in the theaters till about next Wednesday, I want to say. Get out there and see it. If your local theater is playing it, go check it out. If you got to drive an hour like I had to go see this, do it. It's so much fun. If you like the first one, you will like this one. They are pretty much on par with one another. A great ensemble cast. I think, it rivals the first movie's ensemble. Some of the performances, aren't as good as some of the first movies, but there's like some cool things. The differences between these two films is like what one movie does really well, the other one excels in some different aspects, which put them on like the same playing field. I can't pick one over the other right now because I was like, they were both equally good. What each of them did something unique to itself, which made it interesting and fun to watch. So I wholeheartedly recommend this film, and I'm going to give this film a very, very enthusiastic A-. Like, yeah, it does some story stuff where it was kind of predictable in a couple of spots, which isn't a big knock on the film. But every aspect of this film was done near perfectly. All the acting was top notch. All the sets were top notch. The special effects were top notch, except for one little scene, which was like, okay, Netflix, your budget's showing. But on the whole, this was a great theater experience, and seeing it with a theater was a lot of fun. Seeing everybody laugh, seeing everybody kind of start to piece some stuff together, hearing I see what they're doing. Getting all that in the theater is so much more impactful on your experience to a film than just sitting at home and being on your phone and texting people and then watching a movie at the same time. It's not the same thing. I will always advocate for seeing stuff in theaters, and I advocate for seeing this in theaters, and I will probably even go see this again, because after I got done seeing it, I saw it with a couple of friends. I was immediately ready to go back in, because I need to rewatch that first half, because there's stuff they do that make you go, did I see what I thought I saw? And that's the hook. That's what gets you, and that's the sign of a great filmmaker and some great movie making and editing. So all that, just a great package of a film. Glass Onion is a great film that everybody should go check out. So do that, guys. And please remember to like this video. If you could hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification to be notified whenever I drop new movie reviews. And yeah, guys, go check out this film, please. It's so much fun. I don't even know the next one I'm going to go see. I'm still waiting for The Fabelmans to come out. So that's like the next big one I'm really anxious to see. Of course, we got like Avatar down the road. So until the next review, guys, which is hopefully soon, I'll be seeing you.